like to thank Melinda for putting this on. This is a great documentary and a message that needs to be heard. This first song is a new tune of mine called Shades of Blue, and it's going to be the title track of my next album, and it's kind of about the response to COVID psychologically. Okay. Summertime is here, but it doesn't feel like it. No, it doesn't feel like it. I'm stuck in shades of blue, so blue. But summertime is here, and we're supposed to be happy, but I don't feel happy. I only feel lost. So lost, where have all the flowers gone so long? Our hopes and dreams are not small things, seem lost, living in tragic times. No peace of mind, living in surreality. But when will our hearts be free? The summertime is here, and we all feel the strain. Yes, we all feel the pain of not knowing what's beyond. And the summer dawns, I love when the stars align. If you can dream it, you can do it. And where have all the flowers gone so long? Our hopes and dreams are not small things, seem lost, living in tragic times. No peace of mind, living in surreality. But when will our hearts be free? Oh yeah. The soul travels on with the heart, yeah. The soul travels on with the heart, yeah. Soul travels on with the heart, with the heart, with the heart. Shades of blue, shades of blue, shades of blue. Shades of blue, 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 shades of blue. That tune was called Shades of Blue. This next song is a tune of mine as well. It's called Fellow Man. It's a new song. so troubled, 'cause I can't seem to understand how you can judge your fellow man by the color of his skin. So troubled, so troubled, so troubled, so troubled. And how can you live with yourself knowing damn well that you got such pain? The good innocent people every day. So troubled, so troubled, so troubled, so troubled. The time has come where we must stop acting out in fear. The time is here that we should look at the mirror and love your brothers and your sisters. Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And have you ever feared for your life from just being who you are? We've come so far, but have we really come that far? So troubled, so troubled, so troubled, so troubled. The time has come that we must stop acting out in fear. The time is here that we must look at the mirror and love your brothers and your sisters. Oh yeah. Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. When the evening sun sets, the tide is high. The truth, it hurts. My soul cries. You gotta reach out to your fellow man. Let him know that you try to understand. That you try to understand. That you try to understand. Now, a moment of silence for our fallen people. The time has come that we must stop acting out in fear. The time is here that we must look at the mirror and love your brothers and your sisters. Oh. Oh, oh yeah. So troubled, so troubled, so troubled, so troubled. That song was an original tune of mine. It's coming out on my EP I'm about to put out called Back Down to Earth. Yeah, it's about treating everybody with equality the same. Because in reality, we all are the same. So yeah, I was gonna talk about my own experience with homelessness. Just briefly go over it. Yeah, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was in my car for about a year, and what I learned from that experience, it taught me a lot about strength and not letting people's opinions deter what you know about yourself, which is really easy to do when you're in that position, for anybody who's been homeless. You're not showered, and you got to go to a gas station and wash your face and this and that, and everyone knows as you come out of the gas station, you're basically taking a bath. So it really teaches you to, it makes you tough, is really what it does. Yeah, so there's that. And, you kind of start seeing the psychology of society, and and how everything's perceived and this and that, and there's a lot of insight, and I've chosen to come out of that with awareness per se of just other people, and and of what not to do, at least in my own position or my own experience. But yeah, it's different for everybody, though, I guess, like what it teaches you. But yeah, so you learn that that there's the simple things is really what makes you happy, and if you have that, that's really all you need, and you don't really need much more. And yeah, it really, that's what it does. It grounds you. So anyways, yeah, it's a hard position for anybody. So I got one more song for you guys. It's called Heal the Earth and All Its People. This song was on my album that came out last year. And I'm also doing a new version of my new EP. Here we go. The more you give, the more you know, the more you take, the less you know. What you reap is what you sow. Share of the earth with the world. Share of the earth with the world. Let the earth take you in by and by now. Let the earth take you in by and by. Give your heart to those in need. Some people have it harder than it seems. Live your life as you dream, yeah. Share of the earth with the world. Share of the earth with the world. Let the earth take you in by and by now. Let the earth take you in by and by, by and by, by and by, by and by. Oh, love, love, yeah. Keeps us together, sets us free, yeah. You and me. With summer comes rain, yeah. With happiness comes pain. With the moonlight comes the sun, yeah. And laughter and fun for everyone, yeah. Share of the earth with the world. Share of the earth with the world. Let the earth take you in by and by now. Let the earth take you in by and by, by and by, by and by,
keeps us together, sets us free, yeah. You and me. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
That was so awesome, Dane. Thank you so much. And thank you also for sharing your story, because that's a big moment of vulnerability and truth, and it's hard to do. And I'm very thankful that we get to share a night that has so much of that. So thank you for being a part of it.
Of course.
Before we move into the panel, have a very special guest who I would like to introduce. And especially if you are an artist who is watching this right now, this is something to prick up your ears for. I want to introduce Mark Warnick, who is a board member from Washington Lawyers for the Arts. And they do some really incredible work and advocacy to help artists navigate all sorts of things. But he can say more about that than I ever could. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark. Thank you so much for being here, and take it away.
Thank you very much, Lily. And of course, thanks to NASH. And a big thanks to Melinda for the wonderful film. And Melinda was actually one of the clients at Washington Lawyers for the Arts. And I think there was so much mutual admiration that we later asked her to join the board, and she agreed, and she's been a great board member as well. I just wanted to take a minute or two and talk about Washington Lawyers for the Arts. It's a nonprofit organization that's been around since 1976. And our mission is to provide legal resources to artists and arts organizations throughout the state of Washington. And so I should direct everyone to our website, which is thewla.org. And you can check it out later after this event. But basically, we have four main services. One, we provide a pro bono legal clinic for artists and arts organizations every month. It's free. Artists get 30 minutes of a free legal consultation from attorneys on a variety of legal issues that relate to their art. So it might be you're interested in forming a business, you need help with copyrights or trademarks or a license, or concerns about somebody infringing your intellectual property, or maybe you're putting on a play or a dance performance and you're just wondering, is it okay to play that song by the Beatles without permission? So you can sign up online for an appointment. And during COVID, we've set up a weekly phone clinic. The next one is in 2 weeks. And so we will match you with an attorney. You'll provide information about your issue. They'll be ready to go, and you'll be able to connect with them for a half hour, if not more, sometime during that week. We also provide legal referrals for artists. So let's say you have an issue that requires more than a 30-minute consultation. Maybe it's more involved. We have a list of volunteer attorneys. We send your issue to each of them, and we say, hey, can anyone help this artist? The only caveat to that is that the advice isn't necessarily free. We leave it to the artist and the attorney to work out the fee arrangement. And sometimes artists have resources, sometimes they don't. Sometimes an attorney is willing to give their time for free. Sometimes they want a little compensation. But again, it's up to the artist and the attorney. We also provide legal workshops throughout the year. So they might range from legal issues for filmmakers to basic intellectual property issues. We had a very successful one recently in the time of COVID about real estate issues for artists. You know, imagine you're an artist who signed a lease agreement and now you have no way to produce any income. We can advise you. And so the legal workshops, you can find out about them on our website as well. And then we also offer a speakers bureau. So if you're with an organization that just wants an attorney to come and talk about something specific to your organization, So maybe you're a group of filmmakers, or maybe you're a group of musicians, or maybe you're a group of video game operators or designers. We can find an attorney to come and speak, and it's for free, and we're happy to help. So thanks again to everyone. We're so proud of Melinda. This is frankly not the only artist that has been successful that we've helped over the years, but she's certainly one of the most successful, and we're really proud of to be associated with her. And so again, please reach out on the website, thewla.org. And if you can find there an address if you want to send an email with any questions, or if you want to sign up to participate in our clinic. So thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. It's really a pleasure to have you here. And as an artist, I know that legal counsel has always felt a little bit out of reach. So I hope that if you are a creative person, that you are jotting down the website and taking advantage of those incredible services, because that's a very special thing that we have here in our region that I think we should all be connecting with more. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. So we're going to kick off our official panel conversation, and I'm not even going to waste a ton of time trying to introduce these amazing people. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But right before we do that, I do want to ask for you all who are tuning in from home. I would love to, I have some questions jotted down, but I would love to be asking our panelists questions that you might have and or reading comments. So I actually have my phone up right now and I am watching the comments coming in. So if you drop in a question or a comment, I'll do my best to relay that. So if you have something on your mind that's burning, please add it in. And hopefully by the time the introductions are through, then I'll be able to kick it off and use one of your wonderful questions. So please participate if you want to. All right, so we're gonna kick off the panel. And I guess I'm gonna start with the woman who started it all. Melinda, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and all the good stuff?
Melinda Raebyne, and just wanting to get my pronouns out there for people. I think it's important, and it's something that, you know, some people may be familiar with and some people may not. And I just want to honor those who lean towards that in our community. So I recognize myself as she and her. And just really quick, I put in there the website to WLA. They're an amazing organization. Please take advantage of them, pass their information along to other artists that you may know of. And yeah, and so back to me, I'm a filmmaker. I was inspired to make films that spoke to my heart, that I wasn't feeling that I had the opportunity or the chance to highlight and show my acting. So I created Asylum, which looked at mental trauma brought on by sexual domestic abuse. And from there, it just kept going and I never stopped. And this is actually just about this time is the anniversary Asylum started to get into production mode. So yeah, I don't know, kind of, I've been so floored by all the comments. So I'm a little like, I feel a little frazzled. I'm so grateful for people's response to my film. And I hope that by watching this film, it inspires you to continue the dialogue on homelessness and really giving an equal playing field to people, and the fact that we're all just human, and we want to have that sense of belonging, sense of community, sense of family, sense of equality. I think that's what we're seeing in our community right now with our Black Lives Matter brothers and sisters. Again, it's, you know, if we are on the privileged end to be able to speak up for our brothers and sisters who are receiving the injustices, who are being discriminated against, and I feel it is our responsibility, and it's a great honor, you know, to be able to speak and be a voice for someone else.
Thank you. I'm going to pass the ball to Jason to introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Jason Cockburn, and for 25 years I was homeless. At some point in my life, I just resigned that that's how life was going to be. And I just kind of was waiting it out to the bitter end until a strange thing happened to me. Teachers started believing in me and finding value in me and pointing me towards all my potential. Today, I am the vice president and a founder of Second Chance Foundation. We provide transitional housing, mentorship, scholarships, work with the colleges in the creation of student clubs, and do a lot of public speaking and advocacy for removing barriers into higher education and removing barriers out of homelessness and justice involvement into the community. I'd say you could find me any given day out in the homeless community, out in the streets, wherever homeless congregate, trying to provide resources, whether it's tents, sleeping bags, food, water, or just an ear to where those people's suffering still lies. I'm always willing to sit down with them and guide them through some of the community resources or other agencies I'm familiar with and removing those barriers to getting them in. And I'm always willing to pick somebody up and put them in my car and take them to detox or anywhere else they may need to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. I'm going to pass the ball to Dakota.
Hi, I'm Dakota Fox, and my pronouns are she, her, they, and them. I experienced homelessness, almost 20 years ago, moving here with 3 kids, a bucket of chicken, and the clothes on our backs. And we was 6 months in the streets with no way to figure out how to go. And then we had a couple of people who showed us the way of living on the streets. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible with 3 kids. But, tried to make it as best as I possibly could with very limited resources everywhere I went. There wasn't much for people who, didn't have an income trying to get on, assistance and stuff like that. So basically, it was kind of hard with kids and out there on the streets and living. But I am the founder of Power of Two. And what we do is we help unhoused people, youth, and families with basic needs, water, food, and whatever else that they need. And we also do resources, tents, and stuff like that. So yeah, we're here, and I will put my information in the text.
Thank you, Dakota. All right, I'm going to pass that ball to Desmond.
Hello, I'm Desmond. Thanks to Melinda for bringing it up. I was a previous camper at Camp Second Chance during this ordeal over Christmas, which was lovely. I am now back home, which is Denver, Colorado. Enjoying my sobriety, handling my business, and getting a foundation under my belt. Because even when I left for 2 years in Seattle, being homeless, doing the drug thing, not caring, just not giving about myself as a person versus anything else. And now I take it and realize and strive for that much more needed necessity that people need, as like a shower, a roof over my head, being able to wash my clothes, waking up for work. I am gainfully employed. I am a supervisor at Goodwill out in Colorado. Other than that, I'm doing lovely, and I appreciate being on the panel.
Thank you for being here. And now I'm going to bring it to Julie, please.
Hi, I'm Julie Garcia. I'm the executive director and founder of Jules Helping Hands. We provide basic needs to neighbors that are unsheltered. We do a 7-day-a-week mobile outreach in which we reach all people unsheltered after shelters have checked in for the night. We also do mobile showers 6 days a week and provide all basic needs for those folks. We provide clothing, hygiene products, and we serve a meal at all of our shower locations. We provide about 350 meals a day to people experiencing homelessness in the Spokane area.
So incredible. And finally, Dane is also on our panel. Do you want to say anything else, Dane?
Um, I just want to say it's amazing, you know, where you can go from where you come from, and everyone has exponential, you know, potential to change their life and grow, you know, and uh, knowing personally where I was like 7 years ago, and now it's a real difference, you know. Uh, you know, I'll say one thing about homelessness. I think a lot of the root cause of it can be trauma that's not dealt with in a healthy way for some people, at least. And that trauma can manifest in sometimes, I guess, mental instability or not being willing to, you know, go with societal norms and all that. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. It's kind of, I think there needs to be more research on the psychology behind what makes people homeless.
Thank you so much for sharing. So I'm just looking in the chat here and just seeing Christian Moreno who's clapping, saying the power of two, many hand claps. I'm seeing Melinda Woods who says, Jason Cockburn, you have been amazing in helping our unsheltered neighbors. Thank you for all you do. And then I'm seeing a couple of questions also coming in. So I'm going to go here with Erwin's question, which is what happened to the bill that was proposed? It died in the House, and then what?
Yeah. So I did look it up just to see kind of what has happened since then. It went to the Senate again in January, and then it went to the House, and I haven't seen any activity on that. So I'm assuming that it died in, as well. Again, I don't have the information as why it died exactly, and note to self though, I should find out. But yeah.
I think there's sort of a follow-up question to that too. Is there any plan to bring back Bill Camp Second Chance to Congress?
They did this year. So they did it in January. It passed again in the Senate and then went to the House. And I believe it died again. I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that. But I didn't see that it approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm also seeing here from Larice Holmes, power of two with a big heart, which is very sweet. Let's see. There was a question. I need to scroll. Oh, it was so awesome. This is a question from Sophia Perez. It was awesome to see the work they do at Camp Second Chance. Melinda, how did you hear about them, and what inspired you to select their camp out of the others in the area for this extraordinary story?
I heard about Camp Second Chance through another fellow actor, Gregory Marks. He does phenomenal work in the community. And they were starting to just build their first mini homes that you saw. So I went to help them. And I originally, when I approached them, I wanted to use it as a pilot to highlight the beauty of people. You know, what I see America is a diverse group of people who are phenomenal. I think in each and every one of us, there's a hero, there's a struggle that we've overcome. I think we can find, if we look, we shouldn't need to look at other people to be heroes, let them be our inspiration, but look within ourselves to find the hero within. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to show that through their story. And it just got, I thought, you know, maybe I could do a 6-8 minute piece. And at that time, I got invited to really live with them at the camp. It was in August at that time, and I made the decision specifically to live at the camp later in the year because I wanted to really give a true sense of Washington weather. And I just felt so fortunate. I was hoping to get 3 or 4 stories, and I ended up getting 12 stories, and you know, all different stories, all just like each of us. We're all different. We all have a different story. We can't keep putting people in containers and saying, you know, if you're homeless, you're this, you got to be homeless because of this, and this is what will get you out of being homeless. It's not like that. You know, we are all individuals, and that goes for like our learning and how we learn. And I think, and how we work in society. If we want to fix a problem, we need to come together as a community and, be willing to be open and listen. So
Yeah, definitely. So I have a question kind of for the panel, and we're obviously doing this screening in online because we are in the midst of a pandemic, and I know we have a lot of folks who do a lot of direct service on this panel, and I'd love to know, how is COVID affecting the work that you do? How is it affecting the homeless community? Like, what are you seeing, and what are the takeaways? And that can go to absolutely anybody. If you wave at me, though, I can call your name, and then Sean will know where to focus the camera. Yes, thank you, Jason.
It's been really heartbreaking since COVID started, for me at least, somebody who's out in the streets daily, because I know that a lot of the resources have closed, whether it's the church feeds that we normally do, or a lot of the shelters have closed or limited capacity. I think what is most heartbreaking about it is that we haven't changed how we handle the homeless in a crisis. Camps are still getting swept up, people's belongings are ending up in the trash, people are having nowhere to go, which puts them more out on the sidewalk in plain view of people. And there's an increase in the shaming and the mistreatment of those individuals. They're kind of shooed out all over the city and really treated just awful, like the pandemic isn't even going on. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Anyone else have comments around the pandemic and how you're seeing that affect your communities? Yeah, Julie.
Sorry, I was still muted. Here in Spokane, we're still in phase 2, which means that no services for our homeless are open. We have very limited space in places that are open, but rarely is there a place where people can walk in. So we're seeing an increase, one, in problems with mental health, people struggling with addiction, and lack of beds. During COVID, we lost 200 beds in our shelter system because of social distancing. We are yet to replace those beds. And we can see an increased number of folks experiencing homelessness because we're out 7 days a week, that I don't think that people are really preparing for what comes next. Come October 15th, our eviction moratorium ends, which means everybody who has not been able to pay rent till now is either got to get caught up or become homeless. And that's where I think COVID has affected us the most, is people not realizing how close they actually are or were to homelessness, and being one of the folks that we don't like to see out on the streets.
Yeah, thank you for that, Julie. Yeah, Dakota.
Well, like Julie said, beds have been lost, but as far as the homeless plan, I call it the game of chess, or the Cupid shuffle, because the homeless are shuffling from one spot to another spot, trying to move around. They're trying to keep their social distance, which ain't working, but then they're also trying to be safe at the same time and stay out of the limelight. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, like trying to get into soup kitchens or shelters and stuff, that some of them are closed, some of them only limited people now. So then there's a lot of people that's still on the streets, not being able to get served the way that they properly should. And also, then there's kids, that are just person everywhere. So it's like trying to find them, trying to give them the service that they need, and then also take care of everybody at the same time. It's kind of hard because, like Julie said, when everything shuts down, and like she said, October the 15th, who knows how many more people will be out there that we got to play Cupid shuffle with and try to figure out where they going or how they're going to live or what they're going to do, so we should actually get a plan going or a strategy to catch that before it gets out of hand or out of control.
Wow, thank you, Dakota. Anybody else want to comment on that? Otherwise, I'm going to read some of the comments that have been coming in. So from Christian Moreno, it only takes a few steps to be in a situation where people have no place to go or live. If a landlord decides to increase the rent and there is no way to increase income, guess what? No place to live for the same price or less. Anybody can get to that situation very easy. What happens to the signs? Move-in special, first month free, etc., etc. So speaking to a lot of the things that Dakota was sort of bringing up. Melinda Woods shared a little of her story. My son and I became homeless when black mold took over our apartment and put my son in the hospital. And again, 3.5 years later, when our landlord chose to no longer accept our Section 8 voucher rental assistance. Homelessness can happen to anyone at any time for any reason, and we're seeing more and more of it hit with COVID. And Melinda also said that she believes the bill died simply because time ran out in the legislature and expects it to return next session. And also that the CDC has placed a national eviction moratorium to the end of the year due to COVID. And I don't know if folks know more about that, but I would be interested in hearing any thoughts you have on eviction moratoriums and what's happening there. But I'm not seeing any other super specific questions coming in quite yet. So I guess this is kind of just sort of a broader question that I hope captures folks who might just sort of want to say something or have something on their mind. But what do you wish that people knew about being homeless? What are some common misconceptions? What would you like people to know that they don't? Yeah, Dane.
So one thing that I believe is that like society tends to view those who are homeless as incapable. So there's that stigma on that where people see a person on the side of the road and they're like, oh, that's their own fault they got there, and sometimes that is true, and other times it's not fully their fault. Like I said before, it can be trauma based and this and that, and someone who's homeless could be a genius actually, or extremely intelligent, and and I found that sometimes some people I've met who actually are homeless sometimes are there because they see past a lot of things in society and have a hard time fitting in, which is intelligence as well. So there's a lot of things around it. It's our society is very much a box, and if you're outside that box, it's hard to sometimes figure out how to carry yourself in it, especially like I said before, with trauma from your past. So yeah.
Thanks, Dane. Yeah, Dakota.
Well, a lot of times, like Mark said, the stigma of how people see them is one thing. But when you get down to under the hood and the logistics of people, majority of the time you find that they are good, wholesome people. They just falling on bad terms and bad times, and what I would say or suggest to people is that, just take a moment and say hi, because you never know, one person might have in their mind, nobody cares about them, but your hello or hi or even acknowledging them can make or break their day, So, just take that moment and say a few words, even if it's just, how are you doing? Because being overlooked and unseen, which was a lot of way I felt when I first got here. And I'm like, okay, do you see me? And people just walking by. So I know the feeling of being unseen. So just take a moment and say hi.
Thank you. Desmond, did I see your hand? No? Okay. Let's go to Jason.
Sorry, I had to unmute. I didn't start out, an addict or any kind of bad kid. I was an honor kid. I sung in a choir in church. I was a perfectly normal child as far as being adopted and all that trauma could be, there's no warnings of what's going to happen to you on the streets. There's no warning labels on your friends when they offer you drugs. Basically, those first few years, I was just fighting to survive and not end up dead. There's so much stuff you're trying to fit in. I think what impacted me the most or kept me in that hole is the way I was treated in society. People muttering stuff when they walk by me, throwing change at me when I'm sitting on the ground, and this total disconnect from society that just kept pushing me into corners. And so what I would say that the most impactful things that came out of that were those moments of kindness. I can remember a little girl coming down the street on Christmas with a bag full of cookies and pointing at me. And I really wasn't in any condition to move down that street and get away from what was coming. But she got to me and said she'd been looking for me that whole night. And now that she had seen me, she could go home to her gifts and open Christmas gifts and do all that Christmassy stuff. And before she could move away, I opened it up, and inside the bag, underneath all the cookies, was her whole year's allowance in quarters. And it stuck with me my whole life and has been this motivator behind the scenes of why I go out and do Christmas in the streets, giving back and spreading whatever joy, and always cookies in little bags, because I want somebody to feel that value, that kindness, that reaction that I had inside when I was treated like a human being cared about, versus all the shame and all the labels and all the stigmas that people place on you. I can't stress enough how much of a little kindness can impact that person's life when they're experiencing homeless, and how valuable it is just to stop and talk to them for a minute, and not necessarily talk, but just to listen. Let them speak out their inner pains, let them speak out their inner whatever's going on, and just be willing to listen. A little bit of empathy and a little bit of kindness can go so much farther than, oh, you need to get a job or you need to do this. Kindness is worth its weight in gold. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. That was a beautiful, beautiful sharing. I'm gonna come to Melinda towards the end, but there was a question that actually came in pretty especially for Desmond and also potentially for Jason, but I want to make sure that I ask it as coming close on time. So for Jason and for Desmond, it is great to have you here for the panel and hear about your journey. What was something positive that you will always remember from your time at Camp Second Chance?
For me, it was the kindness and the giving that they were more willing to do and be there and be in your corner to actually support you to actually do better and want something more than just being homeless. Because homeless is one thing, and they're dealing with the stigma of having the smell, having no showers, having dirty clothes, and all that good stuff. So it was just the kindness that they brought to me for my most part dealing with Second Chance.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Jason.
When I do Christmas in the streets and I do my community outreach, sometimes I'm in camps, or I'm up under bridges, or I'm in front of shelters. And there's always this different feel when you get to one of the tiny villages. There's a community. I always love it when I see people putting flowers in front of their house, or taking the care to put up Christmas lights, and really feel like it's their space. It's like walking into a tiny community that people are caring. People care about their community, they care about the people inside it. And then you leave one of those, and your next stop is maybe downtown Seattle, where there's a lot of suffering, and you can just feel an energy change. There's so much toxicity, so much trauma, so much anger, so much frustrations, that it's almost impossible to connect with those people and just say they are matter, that they're valued, to offer care. It's just a totally different era or feel when you walk into one tiny village versus walking up under a bridge and connecting with that person there. So what I would say about Camp Second Chance and all the other beautiful communities of tiny villages in Seattle, that there's a human valuable and care and connection that is palatable the minute you go through those gates. And I always love stopping by there versus some of the other struggling places I have to stop by on that night.
Thank you. Melinda, I think I saw your hand. No, okay. Is there, from any of our panelists, we're heading up kind of towards the end of our time, and we have like a little very short video we'd like to share with you. So backstage tech, if you can have the video on standby, that'd be great. But is there any final words from any of our panelists? Anything that you want to leave people with before we move into our closing? Yeah, Jason.
I would like to encourage people to reach out to the legislation. I found myself battling in my community for tiny villages and encampments and expansion, but the community has the power. And what I would encourage people to do is to reach out to their county officials, reach out to their city officials, join in council meetings, and say that these kind of camps matter, that the people that are experiencing homelessness are valuable in your community, and you want to support them in thriving, because there's power in numbers. And when you step up into city council meetings, there's a bigger impact when we all step in there together. And whether you're stepping in there to verbally voice your comments or sending them via email, each one of those emails matters, and it really empowers the people that are in this fight, whether it's me or other panel members, to be able to make those connections. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, Dakota.
I would encourage people to take a more closer look at the homeless community. If even if you are able to give something, just water, food, clothing, just give whatever you can to make a little bit of difference in someone's day, and it only takes one moment for you to wind up in that place. So, like you said, talk to your officials, and keep an eye on things, because I'm about to say this, but just sit back and watch it unfold in front of your eyes, how the homeless community now is very small, but it might grow after this pandemic is all over, just by not being able to take care of their families for these little bit of months. So just a little extra care, a little time, and just keep your eyes out open and watch for people who really need you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. To Julie.
My only words is dehumanizing and criminalization of our houseless population is what we see every day. That's what we out on the street in outreach, other groups try to promote, is that people understand that there are specific laws that only target our homeless population. And I'm sure every city has them. Those laws keep us from being able to move people through their cycles of homelessness. And that's what I want people to be aware of, is when we criminalize homelessness, we provide barriers to not ending the cycles. And ending the cycles of homelessness starts with figuring out the main problem of what caused them to be homeless and how not to return to that. Once we start putting up barriers, they pile up and it's impossible to end those cycles.
Thank you so much, Julie. Dane?
Yeah, so I would actually like to say second what Julie said about dehumanizing and criminalizing being homeless. It's for some people, you know, it's like arresting someone for a position that they sometimes can't help but be in, or for existing. They're getting arrested, you know, for merely existing. And that's a thing I think a lot of society doesn't see with those laws, you know. And it's yeah, and it's important to treat everyone, you know, the same, and really there's very much a boundary between society and homeless people. They're looked at as a different like entity almost, when really they're not a different entity. We're all just people, you know. And I feel like there needs to be more more thoughts invested in the reality of your fellow human who just happens to be on the street for some reason, you know. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you so much, Dane. Any final words, Desmond? It's okay if not. I just want to offer the space.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. This has been a really beautiful evening. I hope everyone has a lot to think about and feels very full. It was a really, really beautiful event. And of course, that would not have been possible without Melinda's really beautiful work. And her work is continuing. And she has a couple really beautiful projects that she is working on. And I'm going to have her speak a little bit about her most recent project, which is a storytelling project around COVID-19. But before I do, she's also, because she's super prepared, made a beautiful trailer for this project. So if our tech folks, I hope I've given you enough time, Sean, to queue up our trailer and to share this couple of minutes to see what this project looks like. That'd be wonderful. So bear with us as we make that transition.
We're in the midst of trying to get control of this virus.
Now it's spread to all around the world.
2020 was always a year astrologically that was going to herald results, like a results year, meaning we are going to reap what we've sown as a collective.
All of the things that COVID right now is attacking is everything that we have faced.
I talk to a lot of people on video and some people are like really scared. Do you get a little nervous when I go to the food store?
Are you able to get tested?
No.
We do what we can do because we are the global citizen.
We have one of the highest percentages now in the state of active cases per population. I've got kids that I'm responsible for.
We just absolutely don't have the infrastructure to support everybody getting sick at once. We just don't.
They've expanded it where freelancers can get unemployment. So many people are having issues with that.
This COVID-19 message is showing how we all need each other in a very sad and dramatic way.
How can we move forward and be safe and protect everybody? Because that's really what we have to do.
There's been help coming, and I think that's moving along.
I have no doubt we're going to fix this. We're going to have a vaccine. We're going to have treatments. What's really the question is, in the next several months, when we're not in control, what happens?
tell Ma she has to stay strong. I have to come back to visit her. I miss you guys. I miss you a lot.
We are family. You know that.
When a family suffers a loss, they don't do that alone. And it's heartbreaking to not be able to be there and to be with them and to pray for them.
I just wish all the world could help each other instead of us being so divided. I think we'd get through it if we did.
Tragedy happens. It's not that tragedy doesn't happen. It's how you respond to that defines who you are.
We never looking back. Don't be regret for your life. We just keep moving.
Hey everyone, so thank you for watching my trailer of An Intimate Look, COVID-19. I'm excited to share this project with you. If you are interested in finding out more about it, please go on to my YouTube channel, Melinda Raebyne Films, or Facebook, Melinda Raebyne Films, and reach out to me. I'm so grateful for everyone that has come and joined us tonight. And I want to thank NASH. Huge shout out to you guys for making this possible. Huge shout out to the panelists and Dane. I'm grateful. And, lastly, I wanted to say, because of your guys' extremely kind pay what you can donation to me in order to make this project possible, I am able to give each of the 3 organizations a donation of $75 for each of them to just, I know it's a small amount, but it's something that I hope that you can use to help your community that you work with in the homeless community. So thank you. Thank you to my friends, my family, people I've just met. Because of your kindness and your generosity, I'm able to pass that along to these 3 great organizations. Please check them out. Their information is in the chat. Check Dane out and his work and what he's doing. I think just listening to these stories of people who've experienced homelessness, from Dane to Desmond to Jason to Dakota, just them, if we can give people a chance and an opportunity, what great things can they do for us in society? And we're seeing that with our panelists. And thank you for Washington Lawyers for the Arts for the works that you do with the artists. So my last words to you is, what would the world look like if we inspire each other to be our best possible self? So be willing to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, because that's someone's brother, sister, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, cousin. And thank you for joining us tonight. So appreciate it. Please reach out to me. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. It helps me to continue to do the work I do. Thank you so much. Mwah. And that's night. Lily, do you want to say anything? Nope.